What's going on, guys? It is second day after the Super Bowl. I want to welcome you back. There's a lot in store for you guys. Don't be afraid to share the link with your friends, and please like and subscribe. All right, so on today's menu, what we have to do today is talk about the Super Bowl, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson. All right, with the Super Bowl, let's dive in. The game itself was an odd one. I was a believer that the Buccaneers would win, but I thought the game would be a shootout. I thought the game would be 38-35. I really thought the defense wouldn't be a factor, and boy was I wrong. It was completely one-sided. Granted, Patrick Mahomes was playing hurt the whole time, and he was also playing without his two tackles, which really hurts him. Now, I had mentioned I thought the Buccaneers were going to win. For anyone who thinks I'm being a Monday morning quarterback or anything similar to that, here's why I thought the Buccaneers were going to win. 3 simple reasons. When Tom Brady's an underdog, don't bet against him. You know, because 9 times out of 10, he's gonna win. So that right there, that was alarming to me. What truly stood out to me to make the Buccaneers as my pick was because Patrick Mahomes, as a quarterback, drops so far back in the pocket. He'll drop an extra 15 to 20 yards back in the pocket, so it gives himself more time, and he certainly has the arm strength to sling the ball, and it works for him. It does. He's the best quarterback in the league, no doubt about it. But what slows him down is when you have a fast pass rush, not powerful. You know, you're basically running a contain, and you're telling your defensive ends, run by those offensive tackles, get to that backfield where he's at, and the Buccaneers have that. Shaq Barrett is unbelievably underrated, and JPP in his prime, he was definitely, the number 1 defensive end on his team, and he just caught up. The whole fireworking incident, the car crash, and he had the injury to his neck. But JPP is clearly a very good number 2 defensive end on any team, and the Buccaneers' interior defensive linemen, whether it be Golston or Sue or Vita Vea, they're really good, and they're really good at what they do. That's the thing. To win a Super Bowl, you need to be really good at your job, right? That's why the Patriots were always so good. Maybe they didn't have the star players, but the players who were there on the field did their exact job. That falls back on coaching. And Bruce Arians has always been a good coach, I think the Super Bowl puts him as a top tier coach right now, like in the league right now. And lastly, my third reason why I thought the Buccaneers were going to win was simply because, like I mentioned, they had a fast pass rush. The Chiefs lost both their starting tackles. Now, Mitchell Schwartz is an elite right tackle. Eric Fisher's mediocre, decent, nothing special, but you lose both your tackles, that's a recipe for disaster, and that's exactly what it was for Patrick Mahomes. He was playing hurt as is. There were reports out that he was so hobbled and couldn't really keep his balance on his right foot. That's why his throws were so bad. I was watching with my friends, and one of my friends pointed out at like the 5-minute mark in the first quarter, hey, has Patrick Mahomes completed any pass yet? And I had to think. I didn't really remember. If he did, it was maybe 1 or 2. Clearly was struggling. The Buccaneers defense is legit, don't get me wrong. But Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. And I'm not discrediting Patrick Mahomes at all. He's still the best quarterback in the league. He was playing hurt, missing his 2 tackles. The word to describe it is yikes. He truly was running for his life out there. I saw a stat on Monday that he ran for a total of 497 yards, like scrambling in the backfield, and any scrambling yards he got. Yeah, 497 yards, because the Buccaneers were creating that much pressure. That's not what you want to see. It's a crazy stat, but that's not what you want to see. Those were my 3 reasons. Never bet against Tom Brady, the Buccaneers pass rush, and then the Chiefs not having any tackles. The commercials were alright. I actually didn't mind the Super Bowl halftime show. We are in a pandemic, and there's only so much that he can do. Sports itself this year wasn't the same. I think we all should take a step back and be grateful that any sports, whether it be basketball, baseball, football, soccer, tennis, golf, even wrestling, when there's fans there and they're clapping and they're getting loud, like, it definitely feeds into the players. It feeds into us, common folk watching at home. So I think we should really appreciate the fans, whether it be we're at the game at the time or we're at home watching it. But the game was an interesting game. Like, nobody stood out to me except for the Buccaneers defense as a whole. Devin White, Levante David were flying all over the place. The pass rush was all over the place. Their corners are so young and good, and they have that grit that corners, I believe, do need. Was the Super Bowl this year better than last year's? It's hard because I enjoyed both. I was rooting for the Chiefs last year, and I was rooting for the Buccaneers this year. So I went home both nights happy, So I thought it was a good Super Bowl. But let me hear what you think. Moving on to Deshaun Watson. Yeah, this is the main topic in the NFL for almost a month now, would you say? Yeah, about a month now. And he wants out. That's a fact. The Texans say they aren't willing to give him away. Someone's going to have to give. The Texans are not going to trade him away and have him sit out for the rest of his contract. He's not doing that. He's not doing it, and they're not doing that, because then they're just wasting money. And that benefits nobody. If the Texans were smart, they would trade him away. Now, anyone who gives a prediction that Deshaun's going to go somewhere other than the Jets or Dolphins, I want to ask why. Why do you think that? Because while you get Deshaun as your quarterback, you get his contract. And his contract is a hefty one. I'm not going to lie. Is it Patrick Mahomes' contract? No. He's a free agent in either 2 or 3 years. I'm not really sure, but around that time frame. Not many teams can handle that contract and have the draft capital and maybe the assets on your team. I think the Jets is a perfect team to trade with because Deshaun wants to be in New York. There's a very, very respectable reporter in Miami who said the Jets is the number one place he wanted to be. Reports are that he is a big fan of Robert Saleh and the culture he brings to any organization, and he wants to play for him. The Jets definitely have the draft capital. They have the cap space. Do they have the player assets? I don't know. They have Quinnen Williams and Becton, but the Jets aren't going to get rid of those two guys. Maybe Denzel Mims. If I was the Jets, I wouldn't give him up. I don't have any really good players, If I was the Jets, I would definitely offer him my first this year, my second this year, a fourth this year, a first and a third next year, and then a second next year, and maybe like an Ashton Davis type of a player, like a guy who has potential. I was just throwing a name out there just because. I don't think the Texans want Sam Darnold, but if they do, give Sam to the Texans. Deshaun is a top 5 quarterback, and Sam is not even a top 25 right now. Another team I think the Texans could make a trade with is the Dolphins. They have some cap space. They have the player assets. They certainly do. They could give the Texans their first this year, their second this year, or both their firsts this year, second, and Preston Williams and Tua. The Dolphins have the draft capital, the player assets, and the cap space. It's just they're his number 2. My personal opinion, I think the Texans and the Dolphins make a trade like that. Moving on, we have Russell Wilson. Report broke out earlier on Tuesday that the Seahawks were getting calls asking if Russell Wilson was on the market, and they denied it. And Russ went on the radio on Tuesday basically saying, I'm tired of getting hit. I'm tired of getting hit. And thinking about it, we're all like, whoa, what's going on here? Could he be on the move? And at first I'm like, there's no way Russ would leave Seattle, or Seattle would get rid of him. Him and Pete Carroll are like peanut butter and jelly. They get along very, very well. They have the same thought process. They get along great. And then I looked up some information and I saw that Russ has 2 years left till he's a free agent. He's going to want a max contract. And the Seahawks only have $4 million to spend this offseason. And they still have to pay Jamal Adams, who they traded a good amount of assets for. Now, you could say, oh, Russ doesn't want to get signed right now. Okay. But he's eventually going to want to get signed, and they don't have that much cap room. Even next year, if that cap goes up, let's just say it goes up $20 million, he's still going to want more than $20 million. Yes, you can backload a contract, but you can't backload it so he only gets $1 million or $2 million this year. Like, no, he's going to want at least $30 million minimum, and then you could backload the contract. The Seahawks, the way I look at it, the Seahawks are in an enclosed room, and the water's rising, and I believe once the Legion of Boom left, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Brandon Browner, honestly, when Dan Quinn left, they were about knee height, and each year keeps going up and up and up, and I think right now, it's past their shoulders, it's creeping on their chin, they're about to flood, they're gonna have to open the gates, restart. You had, the Seahawks have been a great team for the last 8-9 years. The only team that can say that is the Patriots. The Chiefs weren't good 7 years ago. The Packers had some down years. The Saints had some down years. Everyone seems to forget the Saints went on like 3, maybe 4 years of going 7-9, 7-9, 7-9. The Falcons ran that division out for a good part of the last 10 to 15 years. Moral of story, there's not many teams that have been really good for the past 8 years. Seahawks fans, you're close to hitting the panic button. And I understand. I get it. I'm a Cowboys fan, as you know, and I'm not saying they have to restart, but we still haven't paid Dak. And it's been 2 to 3 years of talking about paying Dak, and we still haven't done it. Ugh. Alright, that'll wrap up today's episode. As you can see, today's talk was just about a recap and just basic news going on in the NFL. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment with any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer it on here. Thanks, guys. See ya.